So, let's get started. And first of all, welcome to everyone this Sunday afternoon. So, joining us this Global AI on 2020, which is organized by Kasam Shaikh and the Mumbai-based event. So, I'm just going to talk about here how to design the next generation document search Azure bot, that is SDK v4 with MS Team. So, let's get to the next slide here. So this is my introduction. So who am I? I am Manoj. I am working as a senior technical architect with Mindtree Limited. This is a Bangalore-based organization. I'm a C# Corner MVP, and this is my blog post. You can just follow and just read what is I'm going to talk about in this next 35 to 40 minutes. You can get all the details. I just wrote a post in my blog sites. You can follow on the YouTube channels. You can follow me on the Twitters, LinkedIn, and C# Corner. So these are the few social media point of contact for me. Okay, so now let's come back quickly to the agent, the particular component what we are going to talk. It's a virtual assistant. So as I'm going to talk about the Azure Bot SDK v4. So SDK v4, the Microsoft has launched just last week. People who are not talking, please be on mute. So disturbance should not be there. Okay, so virtual assistant. So I will just give the walkthrough about what this whole pictures, what Microsoft has released a diagram with SDK v4 and how it's work the entire scenario. So if you let me put on pointers. Yep. So if you see, it started with here. We have a user input. User input can come in a multiple ways. It can be by the tab, by the typings, by the speed if people is speaking, and by the adaptive card. So we can capture all the inputs via multiple channels. So user can use a multiple channel when passing the information to the Azure bot. So those channels can be the Teams, can be the Skype, can be the web chat, direct lines, or a lot of other methods what Microsoft has exposed. And parallelly, we have a multiple devices which also give the informations to the bot once the device is like my home automations activity. Yeah, automobile industries, when the car is running, we need to get the data and we need to auto suggest and all those things. So the informations will go to the Azure bot, and then Azure bot is going to talk with a bot framework. And bot framework is a combination of the multiple cognitive services, and it has their own intelligence. So like you'll see here, we can use the speech cognitive services, Q&A maker, language understanding, visions, and dispatch. So the important point here is a dispatch. Okay, so dispatch, if you see in the English word itself, it's a very simple. So dispatch means whenever the deliver boy receive the particular post or deliver to any particular box, and he or she need to deliver the box to the right location. So that is the job of the dispatcher also. When I'm just asking any questions, so my cognitive services, if you're talking about the Louis, and if we have one Louis, multiple Louis, or so many things, so it just identify which is the correct point of contact for me from where I need to get the answers. So like dispatch, if we have going to talk with the knowledge source, if we have inbuilt knowledge source in the system, it's just going to talk and get the data. If we have our custom skills, if we have built, so it will going to talk with this, and it can talk with the custom APIs also, whether it's a Office 365, which is a M365 now, and just talk with a Azure Active Directory with respect to the Azure identity, and then accordingly return the content. So this is the whole diagram. What is the virtual assistant's work once the user give the input, and how it's going to interact in the backend and get the data. So entire flow work in such a manner. So moving to the next. So okay, I just put the slides intentionally as a Q&A maker point of view. So the Q&A maker, I'm just going to explain about in further slides what's a Q&A maker and the Louis, why we are taking the both. Now, if you see the Q&A maker has a lot of rich capabilities what it was earlier. So Q&A maker, we can, if you see here, the multiple users or a same user can ask the one question in a different way. So we can store the questions and we can define the answers. One answer again multiple questions. Here we say what's the Wi-Fi? What's the Wi-Fi passwords? How do I connect with Wi-Fi? How do I get on the Wi-Fi? How to get on the wireless? So everybody is asking about the Wi-Fi passwords. So for the Wi-Fi details, so we can set all the multiple questions and tag to the one particular answer. So that capability Q&A maker is having, and it's quite powerful. Now another rich capability what Q&A maker is having a multi-turn. So whenever we ask anything, any question. So it comes with a dialog as a response. It is called a turn. So once we are asking a question and we can again prompt, and again it's just going the another dialog, which is called as a multi-turn here. When I'm asking what's the Wi-Fi password, so in in organization or wherever we are using, it may be the multiple Wi-Fi passwords we have: employee Wi-Fi, contractor Wi-Fi, guest Wi-Fi. So accordingly, whatever I will select here, it again one more turn will come and it will go to the Q&A maker and get the data and display on the system. Okay. So now I'm just talking about Q&A maker. So if Q&A maker has that much capability, then what Luis is having? As in the previous sessions, we just heard about the Luis language understanding is quite powerful. So I'm also going to give the more I'm just going to explain the difference why when we need to use Q&A maker, when we need to use the Luis, and what's the plus and negative for that. So Q&A maker basically it just hold the informations. When we are asking any questions, if you're storing the knowledge base with the multiple questions and one answers, or with the multiple terms, or with the synonymous we have added. So it's just basically information based scenario, whatever we have in our knowledge base. So it has an inbuilt capability of NLP. It understands what user is asking. It removes the noun and adjective, all those words, particular keyword phrases, matches to the index what is created within a Q&A maker based on the knowledge base, match the content, whatever the highest score is coming, it just throw it back. So that is information based scenario. If we talk about the Luis is basically having a capability of decision power. So here we can define our own decision power based on the task based scenario. So for example, when we talk about when does the flight number from the Chicago to London depart? So this is just a phrases, or we'll say utterances, which user is asking in their own natural way. So once this phrases is coming kind of picture, it's going to the Luis. So Luis is just a decision power. It just tells us what the user is asking a question, what is the intention behind that question. So that parameter we are going to, that intelligence we are going to define in Luis. Once we get the intention out of the Luis, based on that, we can write our own API, which can interact with the n number of systems. It can be custom web API. It can be SQL Server data. Wherever we have a connector on the Azure or an on-premises using gateway, we can hit and get the data and display into the cards. So here if I say when does the flight number from the Chicago to London depart, so when it's going to the Luis have some inbuilt entities or our custom entities, it will identify. Okay, we are asking the flight name. What is the flight name? This is the flight name from and to. So those things we need to define as a custom entities. We can use inbuilt entities also. So basically it will just give the results, and based on that we can hit the APIs where we have stored all the dynamic data and it will return the results. So that Luis has a capability of the decision power, where again Q&A maker, it's just information based. Whatever informations I have in my knowledge base, it will return accordingly. Okay, next proceed. Okay, now come back to the actual agenda of this webinar. So here, this is just a logic flow. What I'm going to showcase how my document search Azure bot design and how it's work, and we need to integrate with the team. So I'll just walk through the high-level logical flow, how it will work. We have a framework, Azure bot framework. When the user is asking, okay, search the bot document, search any particular team's document, anything, whatever we have in system. So it will go to the Luis, and where we have defined the intent. Based on intent, we will get a score, and we will get to know this the content what we ask, it lies in the particular intent or not, and what is the score. So this is usually depend industry to industry what score we need to put. So might be my same question exists into the Luis also, same question exists into the Q&A maker also, and it's depend on the score we can define. So it's like if my question, whatever question I ask, give me the bot document, and bot document related intent I already have, so I'm pretty much confident I have those content in a system which intent is giving. I have wrote my APIs accordingly already. So then, like, if you get the 30% more scores, so that depend on us what parameters we are using. If my 30% or 50% or more than 10%, okay, we are sure my intent is coming, we can take for a Luis. Otherwise, we'll pass it to the Q&A maker, and Q&A maker will respond to the bot. If it's coming to the Luis section and our score is pretty much okay, what we have defined, So what I did, I just wrote one API. So it's just a segregations of the content. It's not dependent on the Azure bot framework. If you see here, this layer entirely, it's outside the bot framework. So I'm passing my intent, based on intent, passing to the API, all those parameters, getting the data, and again building a adaptive cards with based on that data and throw it to the Azure bot service. And what that API will do, API basically have a connectors with the SharePoint Online, which are used as a document storage. It's using the Azure SharePoint Online Search API in the backend. So Search API, as you know, it's all a security trim and having a lot of capabilities. If we need to search based on the particular object level, we can do that one also. So all those capability we can define on the API and get the data. I will show this demo also in the couple of slides. Let me cover this thing. So now coming to the waterfall model. So this is a key and important point in the SDK v4 what Microsoft has added. So SDK v4 water model, it just comes into the three particular stages. We have intro step, we have X step, we have final step. If you see here, what is intro? Name itself is suggest very clearly. Intro means we are going to initialize the configurations in the system. Act means we need to act upon the queries. What the user is giving the phrases, based on that we need to act and need to find out the intent. Based on intent, we need to build the card. And then finally, once our act has done, we need to again restart my dialog. So entire bot framework SDK v4 water model built on these three parameters. Or we can say it's the three pillars of the waterfall model. Now moving to the next. So there are a lot of channels. Once we connect our Azure bot, so we can connect with the multiple channels here. So all those channels is comes as an out of box. So we can use all those channels like we have a Teams. I'm going to use the Teams, direct line, web chats, all those things we have. Okay, so this I added just intentionally the 2-3 slides that's released the last year. So just want to give the heads up. What is the bot framework composers? So bot framework composers is again a new features on top of Azure bot framework. And instead of writing a code, it gives the capabilities we can use a visual designer. So if you see here, we have a shell. The entire framework's IDE comes like that. And the shell, we have all our integrated experience of the conversations what we are going to use. Dialogues, basically it comes here. It's just what are the dialogues and conversations and the events we are going to use. It will list it down based on the shells that we are going to select. And then in the middle, we have a section as a visual editor. So visual editors basically help us to design the complex conversations. So we can use the trigger points, any of the actions, and we can design accordingly. And this last is we have a property editor. Property editor is again basically based on the what the visual in the visual editor, what actions or the trigger we have select, we can fill all the information based on that. Now moving to the next. So this is again the same. So it's not only the visual design which is giving me to add only the boxes with respect to the action and trigger. It have a more rich features. We can add the decisions, we can add the loopings, and all those features also we can add into the visual editor. It's going to the next level also. Okay. So the last slides of this, then we'll quickly jump to the demo. Here I just added the virtual agents. So virtual agents is again is a part of Microsoft Power Platform. So this also gives the ability to create a bot. We can create a bot without writing a single line of code. And it's in the hand of the Power users, which is called now the citizen developers who can leverage the Power Platform. So they can connect, the people can connect to the multiple sources, and they can take their decisions and the rules, and they can start building the bot and deploy accordingly. So we have a multiple options as we see. We have a bot framework composers, we have a Power Virtual Agents, Maker having a rich capability. Azure bot framework SDK v4, we can write our own logics and code. So that depends on the every component having their own plus and negative, and with their own pricings. Everything comes with their own pricing and usability. So before deciding what we need to use, so take the business scenario correctly. What's the business scenarios where it will fit, and what the pricing model also come out, and what the durations customer is looking for a particular activity. Accordingly, we can choose and we can deploy those components. Okay. So let me move to the demo quickly. this. One second, I'm getting. So, okay. So I'll just demonstrate what I'm going to do here quickly. Let me log into Teams. So I will just show what I'm going to showcase here, how it will work in Teams in the Azure bot. So we'll get some ideas on that. Okay, so I'm just going to create a bot and just going to integrate with the Teams. Just want to show here how it will work basically once I type it here. So this is the Azure SDK bot, which is integrated with the MS Teams. And so once I'm typing here, hi, hey, how are you? So something is come back as a great thanks. So this coming from the Q&A maker. I will debug and show once I'm typing the questions, so from where it's going to come. So second, like I'm just a few intent which I have defined to understand my phrases. Like I just type a bot document. So bot is the keywords for me which exist in my entity. So it will extract that particular keyword, the bot, and just go to the SharePoint search API. And the search API, it will just use the search API, use that particular word. Because document I don't need, I just need a bot. So the manner I define, so it will take you that one and hit to the search API. It will return the data into the JSON structure, and again I build the adaptive card and throw it here. So this is a document search. So while document search, we are keep looking, and nowadays the people are using a text-based conversation. So I thought document is a quite important, and people will take it to the next generation level instead of using only the text-based conversation. How we can take it to the document search level also. So that is not in our hands. So we need to integrate the more, make it more conversations, text-based documents. Say we can use all those things. So Teams is having their own one more limitation. How many cards we can show here? As of now, I'm aware it's like maximum 10 cards we can put it here. So if we have a more document we need to show, we can use a tabular structures and listed all the content. So usually bot is not for showing lot of content. It's just showing the relevant content in a less than of time for that purpose. So this will be the output will come from our table. Okay. So let me move to the code structure. Okay, so this is my code base structure. So how I created, you guys can go to the Visual Studio. Just select the Visual Studio here, and I'll just keep the heads up on that. Let it load Visual Studio, create new project. Okay, so you can create your own projects. Just search for a bot. So if you have a bot, just select the simple bots here, the eco bots, and click on next. And your bot framework will be ready in the Visual Studio. Same structures will come, not exactly the same. Few folder structures what I created as per my requirement. So I just want to showcase so how this entire sections will work and how the waterfall models I created here. So the important section here is the main dialog for me. So main dialog, what it's doing, what I just showcased the waterfall model. So I defined here my waterfall model. So once I come to the main dialog, before that, I'm just going to integrate with the Luis and the Q&A maker. So this was intro step will help me to initialize those parameters. So I have a Q&A maker. I just made the object of Q&A maker. Similarly, made it for the Luis here. So once I come back here, instead of starting this, so I'm just defining the simple text prompt will come to me, which is just showing the default messages. And so just for that purpose, here once I come to the intro section, if you see the intro step actions here, what I'm doing, I'm just going to initialize the particular Luis section. So I'm just passing what is my context of the Luis, and let's get initialize of the Luis sections. Once this is done, now coming back to the act section. Act need to understand what phrases I ask. It will go back to the Luis section. Okay, so it will return the intent to me. So before explaining here, let me go to the Luis and just show you also how it is. I have this. So okay, so this is my Luis where I have defined my intent. as a document search. So in a document search, so this is a simple intent. We can add our own phrases, whatever like we feel the document user is asking, and it has the capability also like what user is asking. It's getting store all the questions within a LUIS itself. So at a periodically basis, we can go through and check out if any question fails. We can retrain. We can retrain our own LUIS app. So LUIS app, I just okay. So once we are coming here when we are typing any question. So this you see. So this is nothing like is all my in entities what I have defined. So this is our custom entity. We can use our own custom. We can use the predefined entities also. If you see here the date. So if I type I want the audit document of 2017 or audit document of 2020. So those date we can define. It will return back what the document I am asking. So basically search keywords. Okay. So like I'm asking for a templates document for the particular year and the particular technology. So it will return accordingly those entities in my code base, and that I will process those entities to my search query. Okay, so we can go back to the entities. So here we can define our own entities, whether it's a date, time, department base we need to search, destination space, any document need to see, any document name, or any other things. So all those things we can define here. So if we come back to the code structure, okay, so this is the act section. So it will help us to understand what when we are passing the phrases, how it will understand. Once we go to the LUIS recognizers, okay, this is the main part of the dispatcher. Yeah, so this is my LUIS recognizer. So here we have initialized our the LUIS. What is my LUIS app ID, LUIS key, and what is the LUIS host API host name. So it will create a connections for us, and it will help us to understand what the entities when the user is passing the phrases, what it should come back. Okay, so let me debug and show you what output is coming, so it will be more clear. So let me put the debugger here. Okay, I'll just run it. So once I run, if need to debug at the locally, so we need a Azure bot emulator. So you can install from the Microsoft site. So once you run it, you can download from the emulator. So I have already downloaded the emulator. So let me restart my conversation. So we need to connect with this local host URL 3978. So as I have already connected, so it will just ask what questions I have put it as a hello, I am a virtual assistant. It's coming from the bot. I hard coded this particular sentence. So if I type here, how are you? Okay. So once I just typed here, it will come to the X section and it will going to the LUIS here. If that particular sentence what I typed, if it exists in LUIS, then let's see what intent is going to come here. I'll just put the F10. Okay, so once we put the F10, so now we'll see its intent they found as a 1, but intent is none. It means my LUIS doesn't have this definition, how are you? So what I'm doing, if my LUIS is not returning, or we can define into the none also, all those parameters, then passes to the Q&A maker. So once it's not there, so I'm just, what I did in the code base, I used the switch conditions. As I have a document search as a one intent, if my intent is coming is the same as a document search, you see here, I'll go to the this section, go to the definition. So here's a document search is a one. If it's matched with a document search, then it will do this processing. It will call the API. So I will just take this example also. So it will pass these parameters, extract the intent entities, passes to the document. It will call the API and then design the card and throw it back. Now it's, if we'll go back. So this is not a document search. It came to the none. So it will go to the Q&A maker and just throw me the results. So let me run it as it goes to the default. So it should response should come from the Q&A maker. So this response exists in the Q&A maker. Whatever I have mapped in my knowledge base against this particular phrase, it will start coming out from here. Now next I just search as a bot document. So again it's come back to the LUIS. Now we will see what is that particular section written. So intent, if you see, their intent is coming as a document search, because in Lewis I have defined the intent name as a document search. So it will go back to the just switch case. Now it came in under this case sections, because this is mapping with my document search. Okay, let me run it. So once it's run, it will go to the API. API will call the SharePoint online SharePoint online document libraries and getting the data, whatever the content is going to map. Okay, so the results will come up like that. So let me close it and go back how it's again working. So once I'm using the API caller, so for example, let me open this section. So I have wrote my custom APIs. So custom APIs is nothing. So I wrote over on my custom APIs, which is hosted in the Azure itself, and I'm using this as a parameters. So calling the API, my controller name is a document, and it's need just a query. So if I take this particular section and just type into the window itself, let's see what the results is written. Oh, sorry, this one, and then I will take it like this sections, and then add it in the end, and then we'll type, like say use the bot document. So the document is not important word, bot is important for me, so that I just pass it to the came out from the Louis. The same I will use here. So if I see this API as of now, it's anonymous. We can make it authenticated API. We can pass the token who is doing the conversations, and we can use our the service account also to get the content based on the, if my bot is I'm going to expose as anonymous. So you see all the data is coming here. So what I'm getting here, if you see, we are getting the author of the particular document. We are getting the document path. If we need to redirect the users where the document exists, we can redirect to the particular path. And what is the summary? Summary basically, the API itself is written the hit highlighted summary based on the keyword. So it's just such type of summaries will also return it. And what is the title of document? So once I get all these 4-5 parameters, that depend up to us also what parameters we need to return to the API. We can consume and build the card. So now coming back to this section. So here I just talk about the get document, how my content will come back. And then after that, let me move back to this section. So here it will just return me the entire content what API is going to return. And we are going to design the card in this section based on this input parameter. Now going to the get document card section. So get document card sections, I deserialize the entire object, what object I get it, and just use the adaptive card. So this is again a straightforward way, adaptive card. Again, two way of designing the adaptive cards. We can use the C# or we can use the JSON structures also as a template we can define, and that also we can use. So in C# sections, I use adaptive card to 1.2 as a version. So here is again like a table structure. So we need to define our own rows and the columns. So I define my own column structures here. This is one of my column. You can give your own width, better not to hard code, otherwise it will not be responsive as to the multiple device. So we just created a one column structure, just giving the icon of the particular document, what my API is going to return. And then again, I have one more section which is having a title, which is showing the authors, which is showing the date and time. Similarly, we have a summary. So it's just again a table structure how we want to show my card should respond. So it's build a card and just put it to the carousel format and return it back to me. So if I go back to this main dialog section, so here I got my carousel card and just render to the bot section. So this is pretty much for the act point of view how it's work. Okay. So now, okay. So yeah, we discussed here like this is the main dialog, this is the main component. So this is anyway, DTO is nothing like a data transferable object. If you want to use, you can use, otherwise you can use your own variables for that basically. So this is my the API caller is the main who is which is responsible to call the my custom APIs. Okay. So for the bot point of view, if you'll deploy this, okay, let me go back to the Azure. Okay, so we did everything locally till now. Okay, now once we create our Visual Studio bot framework and we just wrote a code, we tested locally. Now we need to deploy the bot to the Azure. So to deploy the bot to Azure, you can select the AI plus machine learning. Just select the web app bot Once you select the web app bot, it will just ask a few details. What the bot handles: names, your subscriptions, resource groups. You can put all those informations. You can select the price tier. What are the subscriptions you have? You can select your own subscriptions. And then what are the resource groups? You want to create your own resource group. What type of template, app insights? Just click on create after filling on information, nothing else, and your bot will be ready. As I have already created, I'm not going through this step again. So I will show how it will come out. It will come out like this: bot search document. I give the name. It will appear on this. It will landing on this particular page. Okay, so here you can download your own publishing profile. It has, so publishing profile point of view, all app service and settings. You can go under the configurations. So we can take the publish profile. So this publish profile will help us to deploy the code to this particular bot. Once we download this publish profile, just go to your solutions. Let me stop it. This one second. Yeah. So once you so just go there, click publish and select the publish profile what you downloaded and just click on the publish. Once you've done these things, your code will be pushed to the Azure. Okay, so this sections you just select it here, new, just select the path and it will come here. Just click on publish. It will pushes to the Azure. So once it's come to the Azure, so you can test it here, the entire scenarios. Okay, so here the two important things before testing. So we need to know what the endpoints, because that will help us once we integrate our bot with the MS team. So before that, we'll just go to the test in web chat. We'll test it also with the same scenario how it's worked here. So let's wait. Okay, so we'll just type hi, how are you. So some phrases I have added here, so it's coming now. Just looking for a bot document. The same thing here also. So it should return the documents in the carousel format what we have seen into the bot emulator. So same thing is coming here. So we are good. Our just whatever we tested in the bot emulator, it's working into the Azure web chat also. Right. Okay. Now let's jump to the teams and we'll see how the integrations we can do with the teams for that section. Yes. Okay. So see, MS Teams now, what we have seen, it just become very popular, and it's not only meant only for that doing the conversations and the meeting within organizations. So MS Team having their own development capabilities and all, it's integrated with a lot of components. Actually, if we talk about Teams, Teams is just a platform. It's not any technology or any framework. It gives us the capabilities, or it's just open. We can integrate a lot of components. So bot is one of the important components. As a chatbot, we can introduce and we can integrate with the teams and make it available as a general or a particular team scope level also. So I'm going to create one bot for the organizational level here. So once you have login to the teams.microsoft.com, so we'll get the three dots here. Once you click the three dots, so there are some apps what we are going to create. Some out-of-box app also exists. We can create our own app. Okay, we can. I'm just going to select the App Studio. So once we select the App Studio, so here is the manifest editor. So once the manifest editor comes, we can create our own app, as I have created already for demo purpose. Let me walk through the steps how we can create from the scratch. So I'm just going to click on the create a new app. So once we create a new app, it just shows. So we need to fill some more information here. And it has a capability we can create such type of component: tags, bot, connectors, messaging extensions. So we are just going to talk with the bot as of now. And for the app details point of view, let's search, type here mobile 2, something different name, doc search. Okay, we can give more information, more detailed name here, document search. And identifier. So this identifier is important. This should be our bot identifier. So once we go to the bot, from where we can take it, just click on the configuration section. So whenever we are creating a bot from the Azure, so it gives the Microsoft App ID and the password. So this particular section we can get it from here. Just click on the edit. You can take it your own app setting value. So this will identify what's the ID of my particular section. So we'll go and we'll just put it there. Okay, package name. If you have your own name, you can put, or like for the time being, we'll use this one only. What was that? com.microsoft. Any ABC we can put for the demo purpose. Teams.dev app, and versions we can define here anything 2.0.0, and some descriptions we can next generation document search. We can put more detail. Let's learn uh, how to design document search bot. Okay, so once we type all this information, just give the name. We'll give Mumbai Tour, Mumbai AI Tour, and just website's name, https teams.com. If we have our own websites, we can give those information. I'll just put www. Yeah. So if we have any partner information, if we are going to publish our particular component globally, so it's important for us to know the partner information. We can add our app URL for with respect to any privacy if we have, who's going to use, and then terms of use we can use here. We can define all those terms of use, and then we can, for branding purpose, we can use our own colors required. We can just select this particular section, save colors not coming. Okay, so the colors, it's just advanced with the loading. When it's not come, it will just show the message, the loading indicator. So this app configuration we have done here. Now coming to the bot section. So once we click to the bot, we'll just click on the setup. So if we have any existing bot, we can connect our configurations with that, or we'll use our new one. So we will use one second. Okay, so we'll use like Mumbai to document search, and we can define here a lot more configurations. My bot should be one way, like if you don't want the user want to answer, so only we need to proactively respond, so we can select the one way. Otherwise, we'll just leave it these sections, and okay, my bot can upload all those sections, and where my bot, what should be the scope, personal, teams, group chat, all those things we can create here. Once you click on the create bot, it will prompt for the API path. So API path, whatever the bot we have created, that is the endpoint what bot is having. We need to define that one. So let it come. Yeah. So once it's come, so here we have bot endpoint address. So bot endpoint address we need to provide here, and from where we will get this one. If you go to the again to the bot framework, so click on the overview. So this is my messaging endpoints. So this endpoint is responsible to take the phrases what user is asking and passes to the bot. So we'll go to this sections and just type it here. It will validate it's correct or not. Yep, it's done. So after this, just moving to the next like test and distribute these sections, as we're not going with other informations here. Just install it. Before, okay. So now the bot will come here. So bot is deployed with the MS team, and it's ready to go. Once we type anything here, like how are you? So let's wait. Looks like some issues. Let me check it quickly again. Go to my App Studio. configurations we have missed. So bot or like edit. This is basically okay. Our ID has changed now. This is not. I think just did something wrong. We'll go to the configuration setting. So app ID it should be C38. It's changed to something new. So let it save and test and distribute install. Let's see again. Okay, yeah. So what the ID I use. So as I have already deployed this port multiple times, is taking that particular ID and start coming here. Once we just anything here. How are you? Particular phrases what I have. Okay. So anything like I have a search documents. The word itself is a search. Okay, so it's just taking those multiple type of document, what type of content I have in system. PPT we have, PDF we have, doc we have. All those content will start appearing here. Okay. Okay, so as we are integrating with the team, so we'll get a lot of other advantages instead of using the simple Azure SDK board. So if you see here at the bottom section, lot of things coming. So we can add our own emojis if we need. So this is again having a HTML code. So we can use that one and train our board to understand this HTML code and start responding accordingly. People are happy or not. Those feedback, the GIF files. We can define our own messaging extensions also. We can search and post it those sections in the bot itself if required. So I think that's all from my side. So hope you guys understand and learn something new here, how to design and how to use the document search bot and how it's useful instead of only for the text-based conversation. So I'm okay to, we have a couple of minutes, we can take a question. Does anybody have anything?
Hi Manoj, this is Rishi. So while using the endpoint, can we define a non-public endpoint and we can use it? So we do not want to make it as a public.
Yeah, definitely, Rishi. So it's not recommended also to use the public endpoint. So just for demo purpose, I used the public. So once we are defining our own, this is nothing like an API. So once we are defining, creating the API within our organization and hosted in our platform, so we can make it authenticated API. So once API has come authenticated, then it's not like anybody can access unless until it's the request coming from the dedicated source. So who is consuming the API, we can define those policies and who is talking with my API, whether it's a organizational users or not. So we can process those parameters from the bot to the API.
So like adding SAML authentication or something else.
See, SAML that depends. Authentications that will become again to the bot sections. Here in the bot, you can create your own token and you can pass it to that the API and we can validate that user. Request is come the user who is requesting the API. It's a authenticated user, authenticated domain. That we can do. It's just a token generations at the bot level and passing to the API.
Yeah,
Hope it's
thank
answered.
you.
Thanks.
Hi Manoj, Shoaib this side. Manoj, I have a question about if like if I would like to upload the new documents and all the things. So is there any admin penalty there to manage my data and all that? And if if it is for a particular organization or for an open uh, public, then if the particular user had searched anything, then is there any logs are there? Uh, the user what user had searched and what will be the that result of that particular user search.
Mhm. Okay, so if you see this diagram, what I showcase on the screen, it's a logical flow. So I use a SharePoint online as a document repository. So so that is very much true. Once it's not like one-time document. So in organization, I'm going to use such type of bot. People are keep uploading that document. So we should not worry about once people are uploading the document. SharePoint online is having their own index database and which is running continuously the services, it will keep indexing those documents. So once the document get indexed, so there is again like search APIs. So once I use the search API, it will return the results accordingly to me. So for us, no need to worry about once the document is coming and how it will get indexed, how whether it will come or not. So that's why the search API will come into picture from the in the Azure API sections I wrote. We just need to pass the entity which I'm generating from the LUIS, and based on those keywords, it will search in the entire index database. So that is a separate layer which document get crawl and available into the index for to get it searched. So if you have your own, you are not using SharePoint Online. If you are using anything else, so definitely you need to create any your services which is going to index and crawl your content at regular interval. And my API is going to hit that particular index database and get the result. Yeah, PPT and all this. Okay, PPT will be available. So the Kasam Shaikh as the organizer, he will share this content with all of you all. And then for more on the sections, let me show one of the articles where I have. If you'll get more insights, I have where it is. Uh, Let me search quickly. So if you want. Okay, so you can go through this article. You will get the code base and all structures. It will be there. So this is the section. Okay, so entire detail also I have listed down here. You can take the advantage how to create from the scratch and what code structures also I have added, which is required to. This is my entire sections. Once the act is happen, we are going to define the LUIS connections and what need to do. And this is again in the main dialogues when we are going to define all these three parameters. So just recently I've added. You can go through this article. You will get more insight. Code base is also there, and definitely the slides will be available to all of you guys. Okay. So if you have done, I think we are good. We can close the call. And thanks everyone for joining this afternoon. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thanks.